So to start with, let's understand the difference between cloud and on-premise and why this cloud came into the picture. Because if we talk about the earlier scenarios where everything was done on-premise, like by the server, everything was like in one place setup was done, and on that server in a company, like all the computers were connected, and then the data was shared among them. And however, there were some disadvantages. That's why the people are moving towards the cloud. So let's understand this with a story. Like for example, there were two-person. One was Mike and other was John. And so Mike did the on-premise setup. So what he did, he to do the on-premise setup, he first purchased servers, storage devices, network devices, and so he also first need a place. So let's say that he set up everything in an office, and so here, once the setup is done, they also need to install the cooling system, because servers get get heated for if we use for the continuous. So cooling system was required. So that setup has been done. Then uninterrupted power supply was needed. So he need to install the backup for the power. Then after the servers are installed, then he install like OS, and after that he also need the infrastructure guys so that they can do the hardware setup. Their maintenance was required, and then time to time upgrade was required. So the team was also hired, and uh, they were maintaining that security. For security reasons, the security team was also hired. So if you see, you can see that a lot of initial cost was involved, and then after that only his business was started. Like for example, if we want to, uh, he built a website, and he is hosting that website on the on premise. So after doing all that investment, now his website is up and running. Now, for example, after a few time, the business grows and lot of traffic is coming on the website. So he need to those servers were not sufficient to handle that high traffic. So he need to upgrade or scale the system. So he need to buy more uh, servers, and like connect them to handle that traffic. So more space was required. So again, the cost has been increased. Also, there was one more risk that if something happened like flood or some disaster come, uh, then there might chances that the system will collapse and all the data will vanish. So that risk is also there. Now let's take the story of John. So he purchased the system, like he purchased cloud. He chose the cloud environment. So what he did, he explored the services that is provided by the cloud, and he chose the right service. So for that, he hired a team that who has the knowledge of cloud, everything like infrastructure, the storage, networking, the upgrade, and the backup. Everything is handled by the cloud itself. So John need not to uh, spend any initial cost or any investment at the initial level, because everything is already set up by the cloud provider. He can just choose the server type of operating system, how much RAM or storage he require. He just give the instruction, and he get that kind of system by the cloud, and he only need to pay for what he uses. Like if he need just 100 GB of storage, so he will only pay for that 100 GB for whatever time that has been used. And if a business expand, and if he require more storage like 200 GB, so he only need to pay the 200 GB, and that scaling is instantly available. So he get an option to scale the system easily. If business goes down, he can scale down the system within a seconds, and he will just need to pay what for what the service he is using. So now John is happy because he is able to save a lot of cost and the initial investment. The team is also requires smaller people. Smaller team is required because he just need to focus on the development part or the initial choosing the right services. So that on for only that part, uh, the team is required as everything security is handled by the cloud provider itself. So that's why the cloud is booming and everything, all the business are moving on the cloud. So now we are talking about the cloud. Let's see what service models are available in the cloud. So there are mainly three types. First one is infrastructure as a service, then platform as a service, also known as PaaS, then software as a service, known as SaaS. And as name suggests, so these cloud providers, like for example, in infrastructure as a service, they provide infrastructure to us, and then on top of infrastructure, we can do our own development, like we can choose our operating system, our storage or RAM requirement, and we can build software on top of that. Uh, so let's see the service model in detail. So I have also added the on-prem, so we can do the on-prem comparison with these cloud pro models. So first, let's in on-prem, the target users are administrators and IT staff. So these are direct user, like ultimately, because there will be some development happen. So software developer will be there or DevOps engineer will be there. But at the start, to set up that or to maintain that servers, the IT admin and IT staff will be the target users for on-prem. Then if you go with infrastructure as a service, there the target user are IT admin, because in infrastructure as a service, we get the server, storage, virtualization, and networking. Everything is provided by the uh, cloud service, cloud provider. So, uh, as a user, we just need to uh, choose the right parameters, like what server we require, what OS require, what storage is required. So that's why we need IT admin team to uh, choose the services as per our requirement. Then in platform as a service, here the platform is already provided. So like at the base, it is infrastructure, and on top of infrastructure, the platform is also provided. Like operating system is provided, the runtime environment is provided. So we can just so here the target users are software developers. So because everything is ready, so the software engineers are now or developers now can develop their own softwares on top of that. So that so that service is known as platform as a service. Then at the last we have software as a service. So here the software itself is provided to us. Like if you heard the Salesforce, the CRM, or if you heard of any CRM or any software like Tableau, uh, or there are different services, softwares like Oracle provides database software. So the software is directly provided to us. The software is also already installed, and we can directly use that software for our service. Like we need not to uh, do like software upgradation, or we need not to care about the security or the what hardware is used. Like what if that data goes away, or what, we need not to think about their backup, because everything is handled by the software as a service provider. We can directly use the software as a, and the target users are obviously end users. Like there are salesperson who use a CRM like Salesforce. They can directly create the lead, add the details, and close the deals. So they just need to like use the software. They need not to care about installing or the what hardware is used, how much RAM we have. They need not to think about that. They just need to think about the selling the products and adding the details in that software. So yeah, that was all about service cloud service models. Yeah, correct. That's where our more involvement is. Like in on-prem, we need to do all the non-networking setup, like switches, hubs, router setup.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
All right.
it is mainly IaaS
Mhm.
infrastructure because however it is mainly infrastructure. Then it also has like uh, pass few services as a they provide pass, or we also have SaaS. So like SaaS, like database services are provided. So here SaaS is there, pass is also there, and so it is combination of all three, but mainly it is infrastructure. The main use is infrastructure. Now let's understand cloud with different types of deployment model. Uh, so how we deploy the cloud, and based on this, there are four types. The first one is public cloud. So like AWS, which is a public cloud, because anyone can open an account on the cloud AWS, and they can use it. So public doesn't mean that everyone will have access to the same data set, or same, like if I'm building something that will automatically visible to everyone. So it's not like that. We have a privacy and security in the public cloud, like whatever data I'm storing, that will be visible to me only, or if anyone have access to that particular account, then only they can access to our content. But it is, yeah, it is available to mass. And so here scalability is easy, software development, and we can do collaborative projects because different AWS account can also be connected. So that kind of cloud is known as public cloud. And here we have major public cloud providers like Amazon, AWS. From Microsoft, we have Azure, and from Google, we have Google Cloud Platform, GCP. Then we have private cloud. So this is reside behind the firewall, and uh, like it is mainly used by the single organization only, and where like tight security. Like for example, we have some government agency or secret agencies where we are storing very secret data, or there are companies where they want to store the data that is very secret or unique to them. So to store that kind of data, they are using private cloud. So only they can access the cloud, uh, that kind of data set. Like for example, if a company is there and they have hundred of branches, so they will create a private cloud, and only those branches will have access. A company will have access from the different part of world to that private cloud. Then next we have is hybrid cloud. So it is the combination of public and private cloud. So it is getting more popular nowadays because if there is some private data like customer uh, document details or customers account details, that kind of private data we can store in the private cloud. And the rest of the data like sales data, or what product the customer has purchased and at what time. So all these sales details can be stored in public cloud. So we can use combination of both uh, for balancing big data analytics, and also at the same time we can keep the data private. That is hybrid cloud. Next we have a community cloud, where it's a collaborative and uh, multi-tenant platform. Like so same kind of companies or institutions can come together, and when they build a cloud that will be used by those institutions or those companies, that kind of cloud is known as community cloud. So here, for example, institutes or educational entities like many universities can come together, and they can build a cloud that will be, and on that cloud they can store study materials or lectures, or like study related documents, videos they can store there. And They can also create softwares. Those can be used by students where they can access like question and answer practices can be done. So that kind of cloud they can build on their own, and that cloud is known as community cloud. And here they can do customization. Like for example, in public cloud like AWS, we have services. They have fixed features. So like if you use S3, that will be used for storing data only. So every service in the public cloud, they have specific meaning and they have standard set of services. However, if you want to do some customization, that is not available in those. So that's where community cloud comes into picture. It is customizable. We can build our own system however we want, and it is cost effective because the cloud is maintained by these entities only, so they need not to pay any commission to other cloud providers for using that, so hence it is cost effective. So yeah.
So,
Mhm.
hybrid, what's the most common deployment model that
Most common is public cloud.
public?
Yes, majority of companies are using public cloud only. Private is only used by government agencies or few bigger companies where they want to store secret data or customer private data. So those only are using private cloud. Hybrid is getting more popular now because some companies want to like store some data into public cloud as well and some data into private as well, and they want to use both together. So their hybrid cloud, they are using hybrid cloud. Community is very rarely used, like very specific companies are using this.
So
So yeah.
regular companies like like companies out there, let's say Amazon, do
Mhm.
they use public cloud?
Yes, of course, they are using public cloud. For example, Netflix is using uh, AWS only to store their movies and or series data, everything, and their model like uh, their machine learning prediction model is there. So that is also built on this AWS public cloud only. Till now we talk about cloud in general. Now let's talk about the AWS services, and let's talk about AWS specific. Now, if we talk about the pricing, we are paying for what we are using, like pay as you go model is there that is provided by the AWS. However, so in AWS, like it charges us in a three way, like for three kind of services we use. So first one is compute, because the AWS has infrastructure, some RAM is there, and some processor is there. So that processing power we are continuously using. Some computation is happening in the back end when we use those services. So for that, for computing power we use. So AWS is charging for that. So that is comes under compute model. Then the second way AWS charges us is for the storage. Like when we create a website or when we store some data on the cloud, some storage of the AWS is occupied by us or our data. So for that, AWS is charging. So it is charged per GB or per month basis. So those charges are varies from region to region. So we will look into more details in upcoming sessions. Then we have data transfer. So for example, if you want to move the data from S3 to a database service to create tables and views, or uh, we have some data at our on-prem device and we want to move that data into AWS S3 service. So here what we are doing is we are transferring data from one service to another. So for that transferring also AWS charges us. So that is also a third way of AWS charges us.